Well, the batter cleanup spot is our mayor, Brian Smith. And you've got 10 minutes. No.
Well, 10 minutes will get me to say hello. Good evening, everybody. As always, it's an absolute honor and privilege to be your mayor and to stand here tonight on this auspicious occasion before you. Before I get started, I just want to take a quick second to point out members of council that have joined us here this evening. My absolute wonderful Deputy Mayor, Tanya Snell. That crazy guy that comes around town bothering everybody for everything, Councillor Joe Belanger. Councillor Ellen Timms, who is out and about working constantly throughout the community, helping different organizations. Councillor White, who is absolutely working as hard as everyone else on council to make these great things happen. Councillor Faye Ego sends her regrets that she couldn't be here. She is out of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, before I carry on, I also want a big warm applause for the staff of the Town of Wasaga Beach, for which, if it wasn't for Andrew, the leadership team, and all of the staff, every day, day in, day out, making the wheels on this bus go round and round, I can tell you this would not be possible. So please join me. Wow, what a week. What a 2.5 years. Ladies and gentlemen, for any of those folks out there who heard me speak during my campaign, the one thing I talked about regularly was how important it is to build relationships and not tear them down. And I stand before you tonight with all of the information that's been presented and what you've heard in the last couple of weeks. And believe me, what is still to come, that is what it means to build relationships and not tear them down. And I tell you, I am blessed to have the council I have. You know, in 2.5 short years, we now have soon to be built, not one, but 2 high schools for our well-deserving children in this community. That will always be what I believe to be my biggest accomplishment. And one of those high schools will be located right next door that will create a community hub. A community hub, why, people say? Because it's no longer affordable to build everything one-off and on its own. We just can't afford it. So these children will share this library. They will share the walking track. They will share these ice rinks, and they will have, I am confident, a very well put together, excellent hockey program. And the Town of Wasaga Beach and all of you will be able to share the sports field that will be with this high school. And we do that because we just can't do it alone. And this will be the first. And what do we hear? We hear, well, there's not going to be enough parking. Or there's going to be too much traffic. And you've probably all heard me say this before. I'm proud to be born and raised in this town. We don't know what parking problems are. We don't know what traffic problems are. But I'll tell you this, if we've got them, it's a damn good problem to have. Councillor Belanger said it best, I think, at our last council meeting. He said, you know, there are folks out there that if we were to find a cure for cancer, would find something wrong with that. And what I've learned, I learned very quickly in becoming a politician, is that you can't make everybody happy. I always said coming into this, if I made 20% of the people really happy and love me, I'd be very happy. And I know that 20% will absolutely hate me and never like me. And the other 60%, well, you know what? They just live every day trying to get by, and it is what it is. And that doesn't change. Two things we all hate, changing the way things are. And I'm here to tell you that this council is absolutely in favor of change. Positive change to move our community forward. To create a community that we no longer have to leave to buy a shirt or a pair of pants, a pair of shoes, to get good selection even in groceries, to pick up auto parts, to do whatever it is we require. We often leave town because we have to, not because we want to. You know, our friends to the west have about 45 casual fine dining restaurants, and we have 2. Now, they're better than any of the ones in Collingwood. But we have 2. You know, every community around us, I hear this from people, why can't we have what Collingwood has? Why aren't we in the same situation? Why don't we have what Midland has, Penetang has, Thornbury, Meaford? Because we're a tourist town. We're a beach town. We were never an industrial town like those communities were. But what I can tell you is that our most successful neighbors to the west being Collingwood and Blue Mountain, they're tourist towns now. Absolutely 100%. It is our one, our only, and our biggest industry. And it is the industry that, as long as I am your mayor, we are going to embrace and we are going to do the best we can to make it work for you, our full-time citizens, first and foremost. So with that comes change, comes that big store that sells hot dogs that give you gas. Something like that. I think it's important to thank our partners, Mr. Mark Crow and the Stonebridge Group, and Mr. Ray Gupta and the Sunray Group. Ladies and gentlemen, we spent, as you heard, 2.5 years. 2.5 years working on this plan and garnering and nourishing these partnerships to get where we are today. And I'm proud to stand here and tell you I don't believe for 1 second. And I was here for 4 years prior to that trying, and we had great partners. But I'll tell you, I don't believe for 1 second we had nearly the partners then that we now have today in the Sunray Group and the Stonebridge Group. Mark Crow and his Mark Crow and his team have proven over the last 20, 25 years in this community that they are all about you. They're all about community. Had Mark Crow not come to this community 20 or 25 years ago and took a chance and cut down a bunch of trees and then said, oh, can I cut down these trees? You wouldn't have Stonebridge today. You wouldn't have Walmart. You wouldn't have all of those businesses. And Mark, shame on you, but thank you. Thank you, thank you. And what Mark has done ever since is he has been a corporate asset, a corporate leader, and he has given back every single year, year after year, ever since. You belong to organizations that I'm sure all at some point have probably received funding or help from the Stonebridge Group. That's the kind of leadership, that's the kind of corporate citizens we want and need, and I'm happy to be partnering with today. And then we have the Sunray Group, who is one of the largest in the country. And, you know, I'm going to talk a little bit about our next newest partner, the province of Ontario. And we were introduced to the Sunray Group through the province of Ontario. Andrew and Caitlin Mosma, our economic development officer, were invited down to Toronto to sit down at Dragon's Den, is that what they called it? Yes. Which is a program that the province does every couple of years, and they invite different municipalities to come and meet up with different businesses like hoteliers. And that is where Andrew and Caitlin met the Sunray Group, and here we have this absolute fantastic partnership today that I am confident is going to be fruitful and make us all proud and be part of this community for many more years to come, not only in this wonderful Marriott Hotel that they will build, or the 300 plus residences. But I think further past that. I think from what you heard from Ray today, they are corporate citizens. They believe in giving back, just like the Stonebridge Group. So ladies and gentlemen, our new partners, a big round of applause for Stonebridge and Sunday. It's been an absolute pleasure working and negotiating with both of these organizations. I'm not so sure about Kenny over there still. He carries brass knuckles. He's a tough negotiator, let me tell you. But at the end of the day, we came to a good outcome. So what else has been happening? 2 high schools, hotel, Marriott, the Stonebridge Group building on the beach, and then along comes, for the first time ever in the history of our community, the very first ever sitting premier to visit our community. That may not sound like a lot, but I will tell you from my standpoint as the mayor and for council and our staff, and for you, believe it or not, that is massive. Premiers don't visit a lot of small towns. And when they do, they don't normally come with pockets full of money. You know, we started working on this right out of the gate, almost the second week. Andrew and I sat down, had good conversation, took things back to council. Council approved it, and we started this negotiation process with the province. And then we worked with our local MPP, Brian Saunderson, who helped us, and we set up a full day meeting at Queen's Park. We called it Queen's Park Day. And we did that because what I learned in my first term as your mayor was that these speed dates that we get to do when we go to these conferences are really difficult to accomplish much, because you get 10 or 15 minutes and you barely get to kiss goodbye and you're out the door and the next group's in. But what you do get from that is you get to at least know the players. And so we made the conscious decision this time around that we would do a Queen's Park Day, where we'd go down to Toronto, take the town bus, park it right outside for everybody to see, and we'd go in and spend a day there, and we'd take Wasaga Beach beer and Mr. Norm's ice cream, and whatever it took. We either filled the fat kids like me and made them happy, or we talked to the people who might like to have a drink or two. And I can tell you that it worked. And it worked very well, because out of that, here we have today a province that has not only give us $11 million towards raising Beach Drive, but another $25 million to revamp and redevelop, if you will, a very, very important part of our community. As a matter of fact, part of our history. It's the reason that battle on August 9th, 2014, when the Nancy was sunk, is the reason today that we are a British colony and not an American colony. And then, as Andrew mentioned, a whole lot of land. And you know, every time I had the opportunity to meet with Premier Ford, who I have to say is an absolute gentleman, he's the kind of person that he gets small town Ontario. And he understands, more importantly, because he's a businessman, how to get it done. And, so every time I had the opportunity to speak to him, I said to him, Mr. Premier, I can talk all day long, but until I can physically get you on the ground in our community to show it to you what I'm talking about, you're not going to fully understand and comprehend it. And of course, he said, yes, I get that, and I'll get there. You think, well, I can only hope. But when we received the call that he was coming up, I got to spend what was supposed to start out to be 10 minutes. It ended up being 45 minutes. And with his entourage, drove throughout our community. And I showed him all of these vacant lots, prime vacant waterfront lots, residential 40 and 50 feet all along Shore Lane. And eventually we stopped. He asked, Rudy was his driver, he said, stop. And he said, what are the values of these lands? And I said, well, Mr. Premier, I shouldn't tell you this because I'd rather you use your numbers and sell it to us and we'll flip and we'll be in really good shape. But, 3 years ago, those lands were selling for anywhere between $20,000 and $22,000 a linear foot. And he said, so the numbers we've got are crazy. I said, yes, they are. And I said, but Mr. Premier, those are the lots on the water. For the last few blocks we've been driving, it's all been bushland on the south side of Shore Lane. You own all that as well. And they're about $350,000 to $500,000 a lot. I said, but more importantly, the problem we have here is the ministry took all this land 50 years ago in an experiment that really has gone bad. And in 2015, when I was mayor, the province then decided we don't want to pay at least the residential tax on this vacant land, so we're going to make it part of the park and pay no tax. And that's cost the citizens of Wasaga Beach tens of millions of dollars. And he looked at me and he said, we're going to fix that. Now, he pointed out it wasn't his government. It was a different government and a different color. But he said, we're going to fix that. And I'm confident that he will. And I said, the only thing I ask is that when you get around to doing this, and they're already starting to work on it, that each of those lands are presented to the municipality, so if there's any large tracts of land that the municipality could purchase and subdivide and sell to bring money into our coffers to make up for all those lost tax dollars, we'd appreciate it very much. He said we'd absolutely look to do that. So he understands, he gets it. And when we finished and we got down to make the announcements, I can tell you that he was very complimentary to us and to our staff. And it's you know, the most important thing out of this is not only now do we have a great partner in the Stonebridge group and in the Sunray group, but we've now got a great partner in the province of Ontario, in Tourism Ontario. And we'll now look to bring some world-class attractions to this area. The last part of that deal with the province is 60 hectares of land, as Andrew talked about. I won't repeat it. And the only condition attached to that, and I want to touch on this, is that the beach remain public. And I said to the Premier, absolutely, unequivocally, never a doubt in our mind. And why? Because I'm here to tell you that no one understands, ladies and gentlemen, more than the people in this room, but more importantly today, your council, that beachfront is the heart and lungs of this community. Without it, we are nothing. It will always, always, always remain open and free to the public. You know, I've had a few people, not many, a lot of very happy people, but a couple of people have said to me over the last week, how in the hell could the province spend $25 million on Nancy Island instead of healthcare or something else? And, you know, we hear this when it comes to schools and so on and so forth, and I'll say the same thing I've been saying for years. How the province spends money, we have no control over. How the federal government spends money, we have no control over. But I can tell you they get that money from you, because at the end of the day, there's only one taxpayer, municipally, provincially, or federally. And I don't know about you folks, but I'd sure as hell rather have them spending it back here in Wasaga Beach than anywhere else. So when they give it to you, take it, smile, and ask for more. You know, we're working hard to not recreate. I like to talk about what we're doing here is going back to the future. And I say that because if you look back over the history, and you'll soon be able to walk down to the beach and see all that history, because Mark and his team are going to put that up on their hoarding. But everything we are doing here, including 4-story buildings and some 5-story buildings, has been on our beach before. I've seen them in my lifetime. So we're not doing anything that hasn't been here and hasn't been successful in the past. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, but we need to get at it and we need to get it done. In 2007, when the fire happened, although that was a very sad day for Wasaga Beach, I said then and I say today, it was the first day of the rest of our life and our future. Unfortunately, council after council after council didn't get it done. This council, ladies and gentlemen, you have my word, is going to get it done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian.